Pick a hand, Brad. You were the last one to answer.
Okay. That's too hard. There's so many hands, sure.
Princeman, how do you get your hair so perfect?
I actually want to know the same thing I was going to ask.
There's this gentleman by the name of Mephistopheles. How do I get my hair so perfect? I use product. It's a sort of clay that I use in my hair to help it do its sort of shining thing. Yeah, it's by Sebastian. It's very nice. It's called crude clay. I highly recommend it. Does that answer your question? Okay, good.
Is anybody playing Zombie Wars? Because I've got this t-shirt I'm wearing that's pretty cool.
Have you seen my zombie? I'm warning you, I'm developing at home in my top secret basement laboratory the 12-gauge crowbar. Total random offshoot. Anybody play Dead Rising 2? Creepiest psychopath in the whole thing. Call it out. The answer is Slappy. Brad Swale. And I was Chef Anton. Don't worry, kids!
Yeah, that's what happened in the actual game. I got a lot of interesting responses to that. You made me lose my... Yeah. Creepy as hell.
Man, you don't make anybody jump.
No.
Here, big one.
Oh, okay. Hi. How are you?
I had two questions, but now I only have one. Brad, how weird was it to do the dub for the live action Death Note movie?
Good question. The question was, how weird was it to do the Death Note live action dubbing for the movies? It was totally weird. No, it was really cool. I mean, I was so nervous because we got to do the entire anime series, which was awesome. And I was really sad when it ended because it was such a cool series. And so I was really mopey that day, which kind of lended itself well to the character, I guess. You know, the insanity was mostly real. Why is the show ending? Come on! But then we got to do the live action, which was terrifying because it's one thing matching little cartoon mouth flaps, it's another thing when it's a real person. We all know how people speak. And I've seen enough really terribly dubbed, you know, Jackie Chan kung fu movies to know that it can be really distracting. So, and like anime, they brought us in one actor at a time, so I kind of tried to make it as realistic as we could. I mean, obviously the character on screen was not speaking English, but
it came out as fantastic as it could.
well, thank you so much. I mean, they had a limited theatrical release of those movies, so a bunch of the cast and I got together and watched these things in the theater. And it was the first time any of us had seen them completed because we'd only seen our bits, right? And I was so concerned. And then I watched it and I found myself like 10 minutes in, I kind of forgot that it wasn't supposed to be in English. So like, I mean, I was just giving mad props to the rest of the cast. It seemed like everybody kind of understood that if you go too over the top like you may in anime, it's just not gonna work. It's just gonna be weird. And the movies I thought were pretty cool, so I was really happy with how they turned out. Except for some of the story parts, because some of it doesn't turn out so good for me. But it was kind of funny too, because the actor that plays Light in the movies, almost every time he speaks, before he speaks, he goes, and then he talks. So I had to kind of put that into my performance, where almost every line in the beginning, just to match the little, because there's that little weird semi-flap at the beginning.
He sighs a lot.
Yeah.
It's like very odd way. I remember my second question. Kyle, what's your favorite line from Kamina?
Favorite line from Kamina? Well,
Who the hell do you think I am?
hey, how'd you know? That's pretty much it. Who the hell do you think I am? Basically, he becomes the Great Saiyaman. What's that?
Did you enjoy playing Kamina?
No, I hated every moment of it. It's just like, it was terrible. It's like, all right, do I have to come in? Do I have to voice act and get paid for it? Really? I would rather just sleep. Oh, right, fine. Fine, cuff me, take me away. Blast! Now I get to choose. Pikachu, I choose you. I go to the swinging axe there at the back. Well, it's not an axe, but you know.
Are we talking things that are legal or otherwise? Moral or otherwise?
Otherwise.
Ethical or otherwise? Over to you, Crispin.
So I play this character in a show called Angel Sanctuary. And the premise of the show is that this crazy angel is in love with his angel sister. It's anime, right? So, and then what happens is the angel sister dies and gets reincarnated in a young boy, a young Japanese boy, who's in love with his sister. It's anime, right? So I'm playing this crazy angel, and this is sort of early in my career, and I got an email from a fan. And I basically started reading the email and then went, oh! And my girlfriend at the time said, what's wrong? And I said, come over here and read this email. And the email was this: hi, I'm dating my first cousin. Our families do not approve. Since you're so familiar with these kinds of relationships, would you please contact my first cousin and convince her to stay with me? Nothing's topped that yet.
Does anybody have anything to talk about?
No, nothing that I can talk about in public.
I want to hear more about what you responded with.
Yes!
Are they still together? Inquiring minds want to know.
I think I ran. Yeah. That went in a little delete folder.
Oh, it's my turn. We're gonna go deep into center field. Black t-shirt with yellow stuff on it. Oh shit, okay, look. There's 2 black t-shirts with yellow stuff. Way deep in center field. Sorry, it was not personal. We will get to everybody, I promise.
You don't promise that.
I heard that there was a story about you and Liam O'Brien being in a play together. Is that true?
Oh yes, actually the first time, I had started my career as a voice actor, and I got cast in a play in a regional theater in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, and the play was called Shakespeare's R&J. And it was a very hip play at the time. What it was is it was an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, but it was played by 4 Catholic schoolboys. This was done as a New York in the park sort of avant-garde theater thing, but the adaptation was actually pretty good. It was a good short version of Romeo and Juliet, and the premise was 4 Catholic schoolboys sneak into a classroom late at night, find a copy of Romeo and Juliet, and decide to act out all the parts together.
Were they cousins?
Catholics into that? So we get there, and we all have to get cast as different parts, and one of the other actors there was Liam O'Brien. And that's actually how Liam and I met. And so I told him that not only was I an actor in theater, but I also did this anime stuff. He's like, really? Could you introduce me to the studio people? Sure. But the humorous thing about the whole production was who we got cast as.
Oh no.
Liam got cast as Juliet. So for most of the play, he was Juliet. I got cast as his nurse. Which, if you know Romeo and Juliet, it's a very large part, Juliet's nurse. It kind of never shuts up. So there's actually pictures on my website, if you go digging through the galleries, there's some pictures in the theatrical productions, and you will see me and Liam O'Brien on stage in our little Catholic schoolboy uniforms. And Liam's being Juliet, and I'm being the nurse, and like petting his head. I also got to play Tybalt, so I got to be both the butch and the femme, which was good. And Balthazar, because no one remembers who Balthazar was. And but yeah, that's how Liam and I met, and then we went back to New York, and the rest is history.
Nice. Yeah.
That was a good nurse. That was a damn good nurse.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, in the back there, yes, in the corner. Sir, with the thing on your head, yes. I know that counts for a lot of you, but...
I gave you the gangbang earlier. Was it amazing?
Did I hear that right?
Yeah. Between squeegees, squinkies, and gangbangers.
Big gangbangers.
Yeah.
Somebody yesterday asked, have you ever had a McGangbang? I've had it too, but I was in Scotland at the time and they don't count. A McGangbang, can you explain to the world, the listening public, what a McGangbang is?
It's chicken set, it's the chicken, and then McDonald's, put them together and it's freaking amazing.
And they are freaking amazing. It's like you take everything that McDonald's sells, you take all the bread, you pile it into a thing, and squish it and eat it. Wash it down with a nice bacon McFlurry. It was pretty freaking awesome. It will keep evidencing itself for the next 48 hours or so in strange ways, I'm sure. The ghost of McGangbang's past.
It's not my turn, somebody else's.
All right, let's go. Someone up front here. Yes.
Okay, with anime, we all know that stories can deeply affect people. That's why we're all here. So, I want to ask you guys, all of you, what story deeply affected you? Whether it was the plot, or being able to act it out, or being able to interact with the fans of it. What story do you think deeply affected you in a series?
Wow, we went from McGangbang to this. There's diversity in this room, I love it.
Oh, his head hurts.
Oh, now we're gonna start. Damn. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Apparently I have no heart. I have all these stories kind of running through my head, and I can't really pick one. I mean, okay, I'm gonna go out of the anime realm for this, just because I can't settle on one. But even this is kind of silly, but even X-Men Evolution, there's a connection that I had with Nightcrawler, in that, you know, he's a guy that's kind of just trying to fit in and feels like he has to change or alter what he really is just to fit in with the rest of the people that he's, of course, because he's in school for this, right? That he's trying to interact with, and I mean, that's something that we all feel at times, I'm sure. And it's really nice when we can come to, you know, something like this where we can be ourselves and not get ridiculed for it, and in, you know, quite the opposite. We can embrace it and we get praised for being as zany as we actually are. Okay, next.
Gosh, that's a great question. I can remember the time I actually cried in the booth while recording, and it was a scene from Dragon Ball Z where Videl is fighting Spopovich. And it's this incredibly, unbelievably violent scene, and I just reacted to picture for a very long period of time, and towards the end, she actually is crying on camera, and I didn't realize till we finished the scene and we're like, okay, done. And I had tears like literally dripping off my face. I was crying myself. There was a scene in Salty Ray where Celica kind of goes crazy and she like knows she's gonna die. And sorry if that's a spoiler. And she films a video for her friends saying her final goodbyes. And that was sad. Okay.
Continuing on sadness, Kamina, that's need I say more? No, it was touching stuff, really. I mean, the material. I'm not saying that, oh my God, I'm amazing in that performance. It was just like, wow, I was reading it and then I was performing it. It's like, aw. And then the flashback stuff, and then, you know, what he became as a story element, which is very positive and influential and just like helps just drive the story forward. And, you know, at first I was being totally selfish, saying, man, I'm only in it for this long. I wish I was the lead in the whole story. But honestly, looking at the overall picture of it all, it just like, I think he serves his purpose well. I don't think I would change anything. He comes back, and he just touches all the characters in just the right way to get them to progress, So it's like, that was really, really touching. Probably the most emotionally connected I felt to something that I've done.
When Lex Luthor's iguana didn't get the crispy crickets.
Instead of the gangbang.
My makeup. Oh yes, he choked on a gangbang. Don't use the words choke and gangbang in the same sentence. I'm sorry, it said unplugged on the schedule, and that to me means something totally different.
It's anime, right?
Yeah. The only thing I've ever sort of personally been involved in, and it wasn't until I saw it years later, but for those who followed Dragon Ball Z, I just cried on that one because it hurt. 8 hours screaming, same scream, no breathing. On Beast Wars, or Beasties as we had to call it in Canada. The death of Dinobot. The very first convention I ever went to in my life was in Anaheim, California in 1999. And I had been doing cartoons for 10 years then, and I had no idea of any of the impact. It's like, okay, we got this great job, and it's very anonymous. You go to the studio, you do your thing, you go home, you take out the garbage, and you mow the lawn. It's like, bleh. So not only was it the first time I'd ever had somebody go like, oh my God, yeah. But people were coming up to me screaming in tears because they had just finished airing Code of the Hero. And Dinobot knew he was going to die for 5 episodes. I, of course, clueless voice actor that I am, when I got to do all sorts of paraphrasing of Shakespeare, and it was wonderful. And the rest is silence. But people were so genuine, and the first time I was aware of the impact of what we sort of very levitously, if you'll forgive the complete bastardization of the English language, it's our awesome job and stuff. And that's the first time I saw that, and I've since had a lot of experiences. And actually, when I saw the episode myself, it was like, that was a good name. But I've had secondhand experiences through all y'all. Wow, how long have I been down south of the line? You weren't? That's not bad. I've had a lot of people come up to me and approach me, either parents of people whose kids had been through an amazingly horrific time, either emotionally or physically. Some cases of people who were no longer amongst us, but they said how much solace and strength they found in watching what we very lightly take as this terrifically fun job. And then, the first time somebody expressed that to me, it was overwhelming. And I still, every time somebody will come up and tell me a story like that, or even just going, you spent 4 hours sitting down talking to somebody that, you may not know, but this happened to them, and boom, and, one woman said to me once, that is the first time that I've seen my little girl smile in 4 years. And, that's something you just don't get every day. So it's not necessarily, work-related, but it's what makes getting a chance to do this ridiculously awesome. Oh, nice finish, Scott. Super ridiculously, literally, totally awesome. But, yeah, so, what you guys think about?
When I was working in New York, I saw Cowboy Bebop, and I thought, my God, I want to work with those people. And so I came out to LA, and luckily I met them, and this show came along called Wolf's Rain. And what was so fantastic about the show was not only was it everybody I wanted to work with, including the entire dubbing studio, and the same composer, and the same animation studio, and the same character designer, but it had this deep mythological story to it. You had 4 wolves searching for paradise, and I got cast as the Grumpy Wolf. And which was amazing. And what was funny is the director and I, Mary Elizabeth, were totally geeking out over the show during the whole production. We would get the videos from the studio like a couple of weeks before they had to go in and record stuff. And so we'd be watching ahead to see where the story was going. And we were on pins and needles, wondering what was going to happen next in the story. For those of you who know Wolf's Rain, it is not what we shall call an uplifting ending necessarily. And as we got deeper and deeper into it, I could almost feel the sense of, are we really going to go there? Because there's times in anime shows where they start to go someplace that's emotionally dangerous, and then they sort of shy away at the last second and won't actually go there. They won't end it. You know, they won't button it and say, this is how it is, this is how it's ending, and we're done. And Wolf's Rain was going there, and Mary Elizabeth was actually coming to me and asking me questions, because how do you talk about paradise? How do you deal with this notion that everything, in order to reach paradise, you have to sort of leave everything behind? Everything behind. Everything behind, right? How do we get there? How do we deal with this? And there was this final scene, because Sume sort of has one of this, he has a couple of nice scenes at the end of that, and one is to the Runt, where he has a little speech to Toboe, who's been his friend the whole time. And we came in to record that, and Mary Elizabeth looked at me and said, this is going to be tough. I said, I will stay here as long as it takes to get this right. And we recorded the whole scene, and we were done. And the biggest compliment I got was from the producer later. He said they were watching down the entire mix, and that scene brought him to tears. That he called me afterwards and says, you just have to know, that scene brought me to tears. And I said, good. I think, yes, good. Because that story to me is when I talk about anime, when I discuss the idea of freedom in storytelling, when I talk about meaning, watching a show and having it mean something, being able to distill wisdom from it, to say, this speaks to me. James Joyce would call it aesthetic arrest, where you just look at something and go, oh, because it's true. That's the freedom I'm going for. To be a part of a show like that is the most satisfying thing to me. So Wolf's Rain also brought me to tears by the end of it. Even though I actually think, while it looks very depressing, I actually think the very end of it is quite uplifting. Most people don't quite understand the very ending of the show, but come to my mythology lectures and I'll explain it to you. But I think the fact that it stayed true to itself. It stayed true to itself, and it followed the course of what it was going through. The world is coming to an end, and the world is coming to an end, and the world is going to come to an end, and it ends, you know, and that's it. And then it's going to be reborn, and something else is going to happen. And I really have the greatest admiration and satisfaction for that kind of story. I found that actually the end of the first season of Sailor Moon has a similar sort of thing, where the world is going to end and the world is going to end. And I actually feel that that Sailor Moon and Wolf's Rain actually share a lot of similarities there. So yeah, that kind of power of meaning and storytelling is what has always attracted me to anime.
We had almost exactly the same experience with Strawberry Shortcake.